All right, salt bath annealing salts. As we touched on before, 325 grams. It's like $8, $9, Canadian. Exchange rate drops it down, but then shipping bumps it way back up. Now there's also a guy, CShooter. He sells on Etsy. It's $8 for 325 grams. I believe he sells 2 jugs for a slightly reduced price. And I think shipping is included. I can't remember. But that's not what this is about. Though I may pick up his annealing plate set kit. Compare the pros and cons of each. He actually sells a kit with his shelf, annealing shelf, a thermocouple probe, which is a different design, thing of salt, and it's a different digital thermostat for like $56. And I think shipping is included. I can't remember right now. It's been a few days since I looked it up, and my memory is not grand. But yeah, it's a really decent price to jump into this for. It's like about half of Ballistic Recreations. But anyway, this is 325 grams. This is from tTemp Tools. It's their low temp heat treat salt. Yeah. Also filled that. And that. And that. And that. And that. And I mean filled. When I say filled, I mean filled. Picked these, which is nice. Then I took packing tape and went around to seal them up, and that is 25 pounds. That 25 pounds is $87.50 for the salt. Then the shipping that was like $36.50 to me. If you live at the extreme parts of the country like Maine or Washington State, it might cost a little more, might cost a little less. So yeah, cost me $124 for 25 pounds versus less than 3/4 of a pound for $8. So in that respect, this is a steal. Should last me a while. Now, like I said, I will probably grab one of CShooter's the annealing plate setup that he's got, because it is different. You can also order them custom, like custom hole sizes and stuff for a few bucks. He's on Etsy. I think it's CShooter Solutions. Basically, his instead of having just 2 holes or one for 50 BMG, it is 2 small caliber, 2 medium, and a large, I think. So it's a multi-caliber plate system, and it basically bolts together is what it does, and fits down inside your pot instead of sitting on the lip. What I would like to see is one made for a 20-pound non-bottom pour pot, because yeah, it would take a lot more salt to fill it, but I think it would also keep temperatures more consistent. But I may be wrong on that, because the coils don't go all the way up. There's only like 3 wraps of coils, maybe 4. Where the smaller one, I haven't taken a small one, the 10-pounder apart to see how far up the coils spread. There may actually be a disadvantage, but it would take a lot longer before you had to add salt, theoretically twice as long. But yeah, anyone getting into this, it's the way to go. Buying salt, and I'll eventually get one of those CShooter plates and take a look at the differences, pros and cons. I'm sure there will be pros and cons to each. All right, well, not much more to add to that. Have a good one. God bless. See ya. All right, salt bath annealer. We're all familiar with the Ballistic Recreations brass holder. Well, I decided to grab one of the CShooter shell holders, brass holder, whatever you want to call it, to compare. They're both stainless. They're both about 25 bucks. Now this one, Ballistic Recreations, it's all, one unit. It's fixed. There's no adjustment. If I want to do 300 blackout, I got to put in some spacers I made. But a lot of craftsmanship went into it. It's a nice unit. The CShooter takes a different approach. It's all stainless, but it's a stainless bolt, 4 nuts, and these 2 plates. Where this one has 2 holes that cover pretty much everything except 50 BMG, which is a separate plate with 1 hole in the center. This one pretty much covers it all. Now this one, it's got the pins. Your brass really can't, flop around. Or the CShooter doesn't have that. It can. Now, as long as everything's level, it works pretty well. It can flop, but you drop it straight in, it'll sit there. It's 2 small calibers, 2 mediums, and 1 large. Now, like the thermocouples, ballistic products, it drops down this back leg. The one they sell stops it protrudes just a little bit. And when this hangs in there, it's about a 1/2 inch or so off the bottom of the pot. So it's not touching the pot. But if you use a regular one, it just drops in, sits on the bottom, but where those measures a little bit off the end anyway. The CShooter uses the small button type, which is right where your brass is. So is the temp any more accurate? I don't know. But can this be adjusted to where the salt level drops? It's just measuring air, and you can see the temp drop on your PID and go, wait, I need to add salt. Maybe, and that would be a good feature. So one thing is, it's hard to see down in here and see the level of your salt, where this one has a lot of holes, and it may be easier. Now, this one hangs there, doesn't touch the bottom. The CShooter all fits inside. Watch his videos. He says to take this all the way down and then adjust this down to where you need it. But that puts everything really down in. So you're using tongs to do your brass. So I've adjusted it up, more towards the top. Now the thing is, this can tip. Constructive criticism, I would say make these plates the same size to you know, minimize that chance. Just put some speed holes in this. Or like some little cutouts around the edges, like, you know, half circles. Because my guess is this is smaller, so when you drop it in, the salt flows around it instead of, you know, big old splash. And, you know, if you were to, you know, like this, let me show. You know, the salt can flow in because there's a hole there. And there are none here. If, you know, the holes were drilled in line with this, but they'd have to be small, like, you know, smaller than 17 cal, so that, you know, that couldn't drop in. Yeah, that would allow the salt to flow and minimize that. You're upping production costs a little bit, but you're making a better product. Another thing, the nuts. Tack weld one nut to each plate. And then, you know, instead of dealing with 2 wrenches, you can hold the plate in 1 wrench. And you could also, you need to adjust it, back off, just spin the plate to adjust it instead of, you know, trying to get in there and, you know, fiddle around. Simple things, it, you know, up the quality, the convenience. Other than that, I don't know. Like I said, I've annealed all my brass, so I can't really put this to the test yet. Thinking I might at some point, you know, drill, take some stainless little bolts and nuts or something, and you know, mimic this in each hole. That's, you know, if I can come up with a bigger plate, I don't know. That's, yeah, once it's sitting in there, it should be fine. Now, one thing, yeah, he sells combinations of, you know, the plate and salt or the whole kit. His whole kit, with a digital thermometer and thing of salt and everything, is $56 versus, you know, about 100, 120. I forget what Ballistic Recreations is. But now he didn't offer the plate and the probe, so he changed that for me. Charged $6 for the probe, and it came with a connector end I had to install, but not this one. This is one I had. I keep a few extras of these around because you just never know when you're gonna need another thermal probe. The one it came with is this, and you know, this nut there, and this were packaged together, but I don't know if he realizes what a piece of garbage this is. Up the game on this. You know, put some good ones, because I figured it was going to be one like this, and I was like, well, $6 with an end, that's not a bad deal, because these are a couple bucks or so. But this thing is atrocious. I don't even know how to assemble this. I'm guessing I have to solder it together, because there's one screw, and only one screw. And then, okay. Yeah, I've never seen one like this. My guess is it solders together. And, oh, there goes the screw. Just bin those. Go source you some off eBay. Last time I bought like 5 of these. What did it cost me? I $6 or something. Always keep some of those on hand because thermal probes die, and also you get equipment and I need another thermal probe. Well, get extras of those. Keep them in stock because, like I said, the wire will go bad at some point, and you'll be left sitting, twiddling your thumbs, going, I can't do anything. Anything else? Oh, there's plenty more. What am I talking about? Now, seeing how much salt you are, this is pretty much guesswork, because it's really hard to see down in here. Where there's plenty of holes, should be able to tell the salt level. As it is, about every 5223 cases, I add a teaspoon of salt. The thing is, no two salt levels are the same, or, teaspoons. I'm wondering, thinking, if I grind this up so it's all consistent, that would change that. But this, you're supposed to, adjust it, to where the top plate is, where you want your anneal line, and all that. It's down in there. Oh, yeah, that's what else. This is train of thought here. It's like, oh yeah, I just remembered. Now, I'd been wondering, why not just use a 20-pound pot? You got a lot more salt. It'll maintain temperature better, since it's bigger diameter and twice as much, it'll be that much longer before you have to add more salt, from the level dropping. And I think I figured it out, whether this is part of the reasoning behind it or it just happens to be so, I don't know. But the heating elements, this has a 500 watt heating element for the 10-pounder. The 20-pounder has a 700 watt, so it's only 200 watts more. It's not even a 50% increase for a double the capacity. So this would heat up faster, just based on that. Also, there's only 3 wraps. Both of them have 3 wraps of the heating element around the insert. On the 10-pounder, it's pretty much centered on the insert. On the 20-pounder, it's towards the bottom. Like the bottom third is really where all the heat happens. So the top of the pot here would be more consistently heated. So now it makes sense to use the smaller pot. You can buy the heating elements. They're like $20 roughly from Lee. And I was theorizing here, taking 20-pounder, adding one. So now it's at 1400 watts. Would you do it series, parallel? I don't know. But then it would, be that much, the bottom, the top, middle, wherever you set it. It'd be more consistently heated. It would have a lot more heating going on, and just be consistent. Would it work? I don't know. Think about doing that for lead. How fast could you melt your lead in a 20-pounder if it was double the heat going into it? I may have to try that at some point. That is quite the idea. How many amps it'll draw, all that. There, that's the question. Anything else I can think of? Probably just not at the moment. If there was a level viewing window on the Ballistic products, that would help. Like I say, more holes to see, or some kind of gauge somewhere that you could see, you know, without cooling it down enough to where dipping a piece of brass shows you your level. Because you got to be down around 400, 420 degrees for that to really work. And that's not convenient. If anyone could think of how to put a float gauge in that wouldn't, you know, that would work at those heat levels and not have issues. You know, little rod sticking out with graduations on it. That would be awesome for either of them. But anyway, before I get way off into the weeds, I'll let you go with that. All right. Have a good one. God bless. See ya.